Hey, good morning again, everyone, and welcome to our subject, Advanced Mathematics. And for today, we will be continuing our discussion with complex numbers, and we'll focus on the three different forms that we have for complex numbers, and also how to calculate the distance and midpoint of two complex numbers. Okay, so to start, this is our outline. So we will be discussing the absolute and the angle of a complex number. The first form, which is the rectangular form, the distance and midpoint formula between two complex numbers, the polar form of the complex numbers, and lastly, the exponential form of the complex numbers. Okay. As our main learning outcomes for this session, number one is to define the different forms of complex numbers, wherein pakita natin differences between rectangular, polar, and exponential. And then next is to identify yung distance between two complex numbers and also their midpoint with each other. Then last is to convert complex numbers from one form to another. Okay. And again, if time permits, we will have a simple example, a circuit example, applying yung complex number natin that I know you can use in your circuit, no? I've communicated with your professor, no? I think na tapos na daw po kayo dun sa AC circuit na gano'n. So, I hope you can still remember what have you learned from them. Okay? So, let's start. So, let's start with the definition of the absolute value and angle of a complex number. So, as defined, the absolute value or tinatawag nating modulus gives the distance of the number from the origin. So, let's say we are plotting a certain complex number dun sa ating complex plane. Okay? O yung argand graph natin, yung ibang tawag sa kanya, no? So we have yung horizontal natin, axis natin is the real number, and then yung ating vertical axis is our imaginary number. So last meeting, we have already established how to plot a certain point. So let's say we have again a certain complex number with a value of a plus bi. Alam natin na yung kanyang x-axis is yung value ng a, and yung b-axis niya, o yung b value niya is yung value niya in the imaginary line o axis natin. Okay? Ang sabi dito, from that point, distance from the origin, so any point dito sa ating argand graph or argand axis natin, basta yung distance natin is taken from the origin up to that point, we are actually computing for the absolute value or the modulus of the complex number. And then, paano siya na-calculate? So, as you can see here, nung kinuha natin yan, lagay tayo ng line or ng vector from the origin papunta doon sa point natin. Ano yung na-form natin? We are forming a right triangle. Okay? And when we have a right triangle, so we have a common concept na Pythagorean Theorem yung gagamitin natin for the solution para makuha natin itong length na to. Okay? So to get that, you just need to use yung Pythagorean theorem natin, which is yung a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. So dito same lang din, since this is a and then ito is parallel dito, so you can take this one as b. So definitely this value will be a squared plus b squared and then square root of that value. Okay? So yung absolute value natin na yan. So when applying dito sa ating concept, so nakalagay yan dito as a plus bi, kaya naka-absolute value siyang ganyan. And then, para makuha daw natin yan, so we have to square this one is equals to a squared plus b squared. And then we have to square both sides. Pero since yan is a distance, we need a positive value lagi. Kaya yung positive value lang ng absolute value yung gagamitin natin. So this is a squared plus b squared. So parang pinapakita lang niya na yung absolute value ng ating complex number is equals dun sa value ng hypotenuse natin. Okay? Yung distance ng hypotenuse. Okay? And then when we have yung angle o yung argument natin, yan yung kanyang distance from the positive real axis. So this side, yung orientation niya from that papunta dun sa line. So ito yun. That is our theta. And we take that theta as applying again the concept of trigonometric function for right triangles. We have opposite. and then adjacent. So ito is yung B natin and then yung A natin. So to get that theta, we have tangent of theta is equals to B over A, or theta is equals to arctangent o tangent inverse P over A. Okay? So yan daw kung paano natin makukuha yung equivalent absolute value and angle or argument of a given complex number. Okay? So the absolute value of a complex number is written in the same way as the absolute value of a real number, which is meron tayong two vertical lines and then yung ating z. So di ba inaano natin na z is equals to a plus bi. So if you see a variable z, that means siya ay complex number. Okay? So let's apply this concept sa several example or two example lang. Okay? So find the absolute value and angle of the following complex numbers. Okay? So I know you already aware how to input this sa calc or to get yung answer agad, pero we have to go back to basics kasi this is a parang performance subject. Yeah, we need to recall kung paano siya gawin manually, no? So for this one, number 1, we have 3 plus 4i. We have a is equals to let me change the thickness now. So we have a is equals to 3 and b is equals to 4. So to get for the absolute value, a plus bi, sabi natin siya ay a squared plus b squared tapos square root nun. Okay? So we have 3 squared plus 4 squared and then square root nun. So we have 9 plus 16, that is 25. So square root of 25 is equals to 5. Okay? So ito na agad yung ating absolute value. And then for theta, we have tangent inverse of 4 over 3. Okay? So you just need to input that into your calculator. So your answer will be 53.130 degrees. Okay? So this is our answer for number 1. Okay naman tayo dito? Or meron tayong question? Okay ba tayo dito?
Ako, sir.
Okay. Next, we have negative 3 plus 7i. Okay. So we have a is equals to negative 3. And then b natin is equals to 7. Okay. So we have the absolute value, a squared plus b squared. So we have negative 3 squared plus 7 squared, and square root of that value. So we have squared plus 7 squared, then square root of that is in decimal form 616. Okay, so that is our absolute value. And for our theta, that is tangent negative 1, 7 over negative 3. Okay, tangent theta natin is equals to 7 over negative 3. Okay, then shift tangent. Okay, nakatangent pa pala siya. Okay. So, negative 66.801. Pero is this our final answer for theta? What do you think? Kung nabawa sa exam siya lumabas, then multiple choice question, nasa choices yan. Yan ba ang sagot natin?
Dito.
Ano dapat? Okay, kung hindi ito.
Positive.
So, it should be positive, pero ang concept talaga is we have to look at yung value ng ating A and B, no? So, we have to go back dun sa ating graph, no? Yung sa ating argand graph. Okay? I-graph natin to. So, negative 3. So, si negative 3 is somewhere dito. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So nakita natin na nasa third quadrant yung ating hinahanap na angle, no? So yung na-calculate natin is actually this angle. Okay? Eh ang kailangan natin, sabi niya, kung argument ang hinahanap natin, it should be from the positive real axis. Okay? So ang kailangan natin palang value is this one. From dito sa positive, papunta dito. Okay? So yan yung kailangan nating value. So yung value natin kapag buo to, how much?
180 po.
180. So ang gagawin natin dito sa theta natin it should be plus 180. Okay? Or i-minus natin sa 180 to get the desired argument para dun sa ating given complex number. Okay? So, please don't forget that. So, this should be our answer for theta. Okay? And then for our absolute value, this should be the answer. Okay? Question? Okay? So, ano lang, no? Basta be mindful tayo na if ever mapunta sa ibang quadrant, halimbawa dito sa quadrant na to yung angle natin, and then when we use tangent, so pag nag-use tayo ng tangent, ito yung angle na yon. Okay? So, dapat plus 180 naman tayo. Okay? And then kung halimbawa dito yung kinuha natin, and then tangent ang ginamit natin na value, so ito yon. So, anong gagawin naman natin doon? So, sa 360 naman siya. Okay? So, to be sure, kapag naging negative yung value nyo, i-plot nyo siya sa ating Argand graph. Okay? Or sa complex plane natin para alam nyo yung tamang sagot. Alright? So, ayan yung absolute value natin and angle natin. Now, we will go do sa tinatawag nating rectangular form ng ating complex number. Actually, yung a plus bi is already considered as yung rectangular form ng ating number. Pero si a and b, we can, since we have a right triangle, we can represent yung a and b natin into its equivalent trigonometric function. No? So, dito, we have yung ating, ito yung ating a, ito yung ating b. So to represent our a and b into our trigonometric identity, no, or function. So ito yung theta natin. So let's say halimbawa si a muna. So what function yung gagamitin natin? Adjacent hypotenuse. So we have cosine. Okay? So cosine of theta is equals to a over r. That's why si a pwede natin represent as r cosine of theta. Okay? Same with letter b. Si b, if this is our angle, si b is opposite, and then we have the hypotenuse. So opposite hypotenuse, that is sine of theta is equals to b over r, or b equals to r sine theta. And as you can see here, these values are already substituted dun sa ating complex number na a plus bi, wherein this value is pertaining sa a, ganito is sa b. So we will go back to sa standard form natin na a plus bi. Okay? Pero these two form are considered or referred to as rectangular form. Parehas yan. Okay? Pero mas ito yung rectangular form niya kasi nga kinonsider na natin siya dito sa ating complex plane. Okay? Okay, next. So find the rectangular form of the complex number with the value of absolute value with the following absolute values and angle. Okay, so we have absolute value of 2 and then theta of 3. So paano natin ano yan? So pwedeng i-recall na lang natin yung formula, which is yung z is equals to r cosine of theta plus yung r sine of theta natin. Right? So yung nakuha nating absolute value is ano ba yan? Yan yung ating, kung sa graph natin, di ba kanina, si absolute value, ito yung a plus bi natin. Si absolute value ng z is actually yung r natin. Okay? And then ito yung given natin. So we just need to substitute those value dito. So we have 2 cosine of 3 plus 2 sine of 3. So that is our rectangular form. Okay? So kung gusto lang ipabalik dun sa a plus bi na form, di-perform nyo lang yung kanyang 2 cosine 3, that is 1.997 plus, don't forget the I. Okay. 2 sine 3, that is 0.1055. Okay? So, maalin yung sa dalawa kung alin yung nasa choices, no? So, pero these two values are accepted. Okay? Next, for this one, so no need na to think about it. Just substitute it to the formula. We have z is equals to 3 cosine of 20 plus 3 sine of 20 I. Okay? Or 3 cosine of 20, that is 2.819. And we have 3 sine of 20, that is equivalent to 1.026 I. Okay? So this is our answer for these examples. Okay? Question sa rectangular form. Okay. Okay tayo ah. Okay, okay. Okay. Next, we now go sa distance formula. Okay? Distance formula ng complex plane. So we can also get yung value ng distance between two planes. So let's say we have two two complex number dito. Sabihin natin si Z1 natin is si S plus EI. Then meron tayong isang complex number na A plus BI. So pag ginraph natin yan, those graph are these two, no? Ito yon, ito yung points na yon. And then when we get yung distance nung itong first point mula sa origin, diba ang tawag natin sa kanya is yung absolute value niya. So, tawagin natin siyang U, no? And then kapag kinuha natin distance mula sa origin ng second point, tawagin natin V. And to get yung distance between them, ang sabi, for two points in complex plane, the distance between the point is the modulus of the difference of the two complex numbers. So, kunin mo lang daw yung difference ng dalawa. So paano mo kukunin yung difference? Kung saan nakaturo yung arrow, yun yung first number mo. Or head minus tail lagi yung procedure niya, no? So ito yung head natin, ito yung tail ng arrow. So magiging kung kukuha ka ng malito. Okay? Ng distance between them, you need to get head minus tail, no? So I think this should be A minus S, no? Okay, pa-reverse lang ako. Wait lang. Okay. So, since naka-square naman yan, that your distance value will be acceptable naman. Pero just to be consistent with kung paano kinukuha yung vector, no? So, on our next, sa semis kasi vector na yung pag-uusapan natin. So, para consistent tayo, head minus tail tayo, no? Okay? So, to get that, kunin daw lang natin yung difference ng mga points. So, difference nung real part natin plus yung difference ng ating imaginary part. So, parang ginawa niya talaga is, ginawa niya is Z1, head minus tail nga, no? Z2 minus Z1. Okay? So, kaya anong nangyari, di ba pag babalikan natin yung operations natin for complex number, kapag subtraction, subtract lang natin yung real part sa real part and then yung sa imaginary part sa imaginary part. Okay? So, getting that ito, susulat natin yan dito. Okay, so we have A minus S. Okay? And then plus B minus T. I. Okay, so ito yung bagong complex number natin. Okay? And then pinapakuha yung modulus niya. So kapag pinlat niyo yan ulit, yung A minus S na yan will be somewhere, ito na yan, ano? Yung A minus S natin yan ay ito. And then ito yung ating B minus T. Then kukunin lang natin yung kanyang modulus o yung Pythagorean ulit niya. Yun yung equivalent ng distance natin. So, kaya makikita nyo, in-square lang yung value ng A niya, which is ito, as a square nitong value ng B niya. Okay? So, yan yung pagkuha ng distance. So, when we have this kind of problem, find the distance between points 2 plus 3i and 5 minus 2i in the complex plane. So, first you need to plot yung ating, yung mismong given natin. Okay? Para mas masanay tayo. So, we have ito yung real and then yung ating imaginary. We have 2 plus 3i. So, positive 2 sa real and then positive 3 sa I. So, ito yung point na yon. Okay? It's our, tawagin natin P1 na lang. And then, 5 minus 2i, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then negative 2. This is our second point. Okay? So pinapahanap ngayon is yung distance natin na to. Okay? So yung distance niyan will be equal sa difference nung real sa real niya, then square noon. So we have 5 minus 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 3 squared. Okay? So distance natin will be 3 squared plus 5 squared, that is square root of 34, equivalent to 5.831 units. No? So we don't have a value. So ito yung distance niya. Okay? Question for distance or distance formula. Okay? Next, we have yung midpoint formula naman sa complex plane. So, si midpoint formula, we can get yung midpoint of the line segment joining two complex number by getting yung average ng numbers at the end points. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kukunin mo lang yung real, yung average ng real plus average nung kanyang imaginary part, no? Kasi 'di ba ganyan din yung ginagawa pag sa analytic geometry? So, bawa meron tayong dalawang point, yung x1 y1 tsaka x2 y2. So, halimbawa sa analytic geometry, no? Ito yung x1 y1 natin tsaka x2 y2. Para makuha si bar x o yung midpoint, ginagawa natin x1 plus x2 over 2, and then ky will be y1 plus y2 over 2, which is the same for this case, no? Dito, yung real sa real over 2, and then yung ating imaginary over 2, and then we have our complex number for our midpoint. Okay? So let's apply that to a example. So we have 4 minus 3i tsaka 2 plus 2i. So let's have our complex plane. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, then negative 3. So ito yung ating point 1. Then second, we have 1, 2, then 1, 2. So this is our second point. Okay? So ito yung line segment connecting them. So yung midpoint niya is somewhere dito. Okay? So to get our midpoint, we just use the formula na sinabi dun sa previous slide, which is A plus S over 2 plus B plus D over 2I. Okay? So we have 4 plus 2 divide 2 plus negative 3 plus 2 over 2I. Okay? So we have 3. Then we have negative 1 half, so negative 0.5I. So this will be our midpoint formula or complex number equivalent ng ating midpoint for this problem. Okay? Question dito sa midpoint? Siyempre itong point ko, assumption lang yan, ano? Pero ito yung exact natin. So if you want to plot that, ito yung 3 and then negative 5 nandito. So somewhere dito yun. Okay? Hindi lang kasi nakascale yung ating graph kaya hindi siya nag-exacto dun sa midpoint na gusto natin pakita. Alright? So, ayan po yung sa distance and midpoint natin. Now we go to another form, no? Meron tayong rectangular form and we know now how to get yung distance and midpoint natin. So we now go to polar form ng complex number. And si polar form, madali lang siya, no? Ang fina-follow lang niya na mismong ano natin, formula is z is equals to kung ano man yung ating absolute value, angle kung ano yung ating theta, yung argument natin. Okay? So, para to convert yung rectangular, 'di ba? Rectangular natin kanina is ang form niya is z is equals to r cosine theta plus r sine theta. I. Okay? So, yung r natin dito is equivalent dun sa A natin. Okay? Then si theta is equals to theta. So, kung dito, magigilang yang Z is equals to R angle positive negative theta or whatever the the sign of theta. Okay? Then, ito, to get that, halimbawa, convert down natin sa 5 plus 3i to polar form. So, I know kaya nyo na sa calcu ng diretso, no? Pero to have that, you need to go back dun sa ating basics. Okay? So, una, yung absolute value muna yung hanapin natin, which is a plus bi, which is just the square root ulit ng ating number, which is 5 squared plus 3 squared, and then square root yan. So, we have a plus bi is equals to 5 squared plus 3 squared, then square root nun. You have square root of 34, 5.831. Then for our theta, we have tangent of negative, tangent inverse. Then b natin is 3 over 5. Okay? So theta natin is, since yan in parehas na sa positive sense ng axis natin, no? So we have 30.964 degrees. Okay? So yung ating rectangular form ng complex number natin will be r cosine of theta plus r sine of theta I. So z natin is equals to 5.831 cosine of 30.964 plus 5831 sine of 30.964 I. Okay? To convert that into our polar equivalent, so we have P is equals to R, angle of theta. So that is equals to 5.831 angle of 30.964 degrees. So ito yung polar form natin. Okay? Can you check to sa calcu if it's the same? Tama ba? Marunong na kayo sa calcu niyan? So, yes, no? Tama naman yung value ng square root natin. Ito. Okay?
Ako sir, tama.
Okay. Okay, next. Ayan. So, kung si rectangular form o yung complex number natin has operation, si polar form meron din. Pero si polar form is much more useful pag gamit natin siya in multiplication and division. Okay? So, yung pag-addition and subtraction, you can use rectangular form na lang kasi mas madali siya kasi real sa real and then imaginary to imaginary yung ginagawa natin pag rectangular form. Ngayon kay polar form, kapag multiplication tayo and division, di ba, pag sa rectangular form, kinukuha natin yung kanyang conjugate kapag halimbawa division siya. Then kapag multiplication, kailangan natin siyang i-distribute, no? Kung ano man yung kailangan natin gawin, kung if-foil method natin. Pero pag polar form siya, pwede natin siyang i-multiply and division. And to do that, we must first multiply daw yung argument natin and then yung kanyang yung absolute value pala natin, so multiply natin and yung argument natin is ipa-plus lang natin. So mas madali, parang katulad lang din siya nung addition or nung mas simplified na siya compared dun sa rectangular form natin. Okay? So again, when we see two complex number na minultiply, yung absolute value niya pag multiply lang natin and then yung kanyang theta is pag-a-add lang natin. Okay? So let's have an example. Ito, sinabi na din sa division. So kung divide yung operation, divide lang natin yung absolute value and then minus lang natin yung kanyang argument. And then meron tayo isa pa dito. Kapag halimbawa naka-raise sa power yung complex number natin in polar form, yung z raised to n natin, yung complex number natin naka-raise sa n, makukuha natin yung kanyang simplified form by using yung polar form niya. And then, yung absolute value is raised by the same power and then yung angle natin is multiplied by that power. Okay? Kung ano man yung value niya. Okay, next. Okay, apply natin sa example. So we have 6 angle of 30 plus 8 angle of negative 45. Hanapin daw natin yung product niya. Okay? So applying yung formula displayed from the previous slide, we have Z1 times Z2. So equals daw yan sa A1 times A2. Then angle theta 1 plus theta 2. Okay? So to get our product, that is 6 times 8 angle of 30 minus or plus negative 45. Okay? So that is equals to um, so 48 angle of negative 15. Okay? So this will be our product. Okay? So very straightforward naman siya, no? Okay, next, we have division. So divide natin yung number. 6 angle 30. So same number lang, no? By division naman, we have Z1 over Z2 is equals to A1 over A2. And then angle natin is minus. Okay? So we have 6 over 8 angle of 30 minus 45. So we have 6 over 8 is 3/4 or 0.75. Angle of 30 plus 45, that is 75. Okay, so this will be our quotient. Okay, next we have power. So yung ating nasa loob is naka-power siya, no? So nakita natin ang naka-rectangular form pa siya o yung A plus BI form natin. So we have to change that into polar form. So kunin muna natin yung absolute value niya. So we have A squared plus B squared, then square root of that number. So we have 1 squared plus square root of 3 squared and then square root. So we have 1 plus 3 and then square root noon. So we have 2. Okay, yan yung absolute value natin. And then for our theta, we have inverse tangent of square root of 3 over 1. Okay, so theta natin dyan is square root of 3 over 1, that is 60. Okay, so converting our z into rectangular form na in cosine and sine form, cosine theta plus r sine of theta I. So that is z is equals to 2 cosine of 60 plus 2 sine of 60 I. So yung polar equivalent niyan is r angle theta. So that is 2 angle of 60. So kung babalikan natin, that is 2 angle of 60 raised to 6. So yung formula natin yan kapag power tayo. Okay. R angle theta raised to n, that is equals to r raised to n angle and times theta. So gawin natin yung dito. This will be 2 raised to 6 angle 6 times yung angle natin, which is 60. So 2 raised to 6 is 64. And then angle, 6 times 6 is 360. Okay? And what does angle 360 mean? Okay? So, kung wala to sa choices ninyo as answer, no? You have to convert this back dun sa ating rectangular form. So, gagawin mo lang 64 cosine of 360 plus 64 cosine, sine of 360i. And then you get yung value. Cosine 360i equals sa 1. Okay? And sine 360i equals sa 0. So this will be 0. Then this will be equals to 1. So yung pinaka-answer natin for 2 angle 60 raised to 6 is indeed 64 times 1 or 64 lang. Okay? So this will be our answer for this problem. Okay? Question? Okay tayo dito, okay? Sa polar. All right. So, now we go dun sa ating exponential naman, no? So, basically, mas dali lang din, ano? From polar form, you just need to use yung formula na to change our um, complex number from polar form to exponential form. Okay? Pero same din yan. Kung halimbawa, i-change natin sa rectangular form, pagamitin lang natin yung value ng a, which is yung absolute value natin, and then yung theta natin. So we can do that kung halimbawa to polar form, gagawin lang natin, di ba? Kung p, tapos kung ano yung a, angle theta. And kung sa rectangular form tayo, that will be a cosine of theta plus a sine of theta I. Okay? So direct lang siya. Okay? And then when we check this one, so halimbawa 5 plus 3i, convert down natin sa exponential form. So all we need to do is to identify yung absolute value natin and then yung ating argument for this complex number. So we have 5 plus 3i. So absolute value natin is a squared plus b squared, the square root of that value. So we have 5 squared plus 3 squared, square root. And then we have 25, the square root of 34. That is 5.831. Although na-calculate na pala natin to kanina. No? Is yung procedure natin is from the start. Okay? Yung theta natin is tangent inverse of 3 over 5. Okay, so that is 30.964 degrees. So, meron na tayong value ng A or ng R. Okay, then yung theta natin. So, pang exponential form tayo, paano bang symbol natin? So, Z natin is equals to A, E, theta I. So, that will be 5.831 E 30.964 I. Okay? Which also mean na siya ay 5.831 cosine of 30.964 plus 5.831 sine of 30.964i and also equivalent sa 5.831 angle of 30.964. Okay? Then, si exponential form is may operations din siya. And to use yung operations niya, all you need to do is to follow yung exponent, law of exponent natin sa algebra. Okay? So, halimbawa, we have two complex number in exponential form. We have A, E, I, theta, and then we have B, E, I, phi. No? So, get down natin yung product niya. So, to get the product, simply multiply natin. So, pag pinag-multiply natin yung dalawang yun, syempre yung coefficient niya will be multiplied with each other. And then since meron tayong same base dito, yung exponent niya will add. Okay? Kasi yun ay kasama sa property ng exponent na when we have x raised to a times x raised to b, that is equals to x a plus b. Okay? So, applying that dito, so yan, meron tayong pwede i-factor na I. So, to get yung product, you just need to substitute yung values dito sa formula yan. Okay? Then same with quotient. Pag quotient tayo, di-divide natin. Pero since yung A over B natin, retain yan na division siya. And then yung exponent natin, same base tayo, ima-minus naman natin from the law ng exponent na XA over XB is equals to XA minus B. Okay? So if ever maging negative yung value ng taas, you need to change yung location ng E natin from numerator to denominator. Okay? So this will be our final answer for quotient kapag exponential form siya. So let's say we have this complex number in exponential form. So 6ei 30 and 8ei negative 45. So we need to multiply daw. So gamitin ko na lang yung notation kanina. So 6ei 30 multiplied by 8e negative 45i. Okay? Pwede naman yun. So we have 6 times 8, then e 30 plus negative 45. Then this is I. Okay, so that is 48. Tama, no? Yeah, 48 E. And then we have I. Then ito is negative 15. Okay? Which is also equal dun sa ginawa natin kanina na siya ay 48 angle negative 15 for polar equivalent niya. Okay? The next we have yung sa division natin. So we have 6EI 30. So same number. So division tayo Z over W. This is equals to 6 over 8 o 6EI 30 over E negative 45I. Okay? So this is equals to 3/4 o 0.75 na E I 30 minus 45. Okay? So 0.75 E and then this will be 60 I. So that can be our answer or we need to simplify that. Okay? Katulad nung kanina, 0.75 sine 0.75 angle of 60. Okay? Or kung rectangular form natin, it's 0.75 cosine of theta plus 0.75 sine of theta. Okay? So yan yung connection ng ating mga forms. Okay? Question para dito, hindi ko na pala nabago yung header, no? This would be exponential form. Okay. Question natin. So, I think kaya pa ng ano, no? Kaya pa ng application problem, no? Para maano lang natin. Ma-appreciate lang natin. So, sige, try natin pakita ko ng circuit, no? Let me share lang a picture. Okay, can you see now a circuit diagram? Ayan. So pag pinapahanap halimbawa, pa-calculate sa atin yung total impedance natin, no? Do you know how to do that? Halimbawa, hindi applying kung ano man yung alam yung formula sa kanya. Kaya nyo ba siyang kunin? Yung impedance natin, di ba yung Z yun sa circuit? So what do you think will be the total impedance? Anyone? May idea ba? Pinakopy ko lang yung circuit, no? While you are thinking, no? I hope you are thinking. Okay, so what do you think? Yung gagawin natin. Okay, so let me share again yung slide natin. So, kung nalimutan, no? So, di ba may tinatawag tayong J notation sa circuit? Okay? Na, di ba si inductor natin tsaka si capacitor natin, meron siyang mga reactants, no? Tinatawag natin siyang yung reactants yung kay resistor, syempre, yung as is na resistor siya. So, di ba sabi natin kay resistor, si reactant natin or yung reactant natin is equals to XR, no? And then ang impedance niya ay represented by Z. So, equal siya sa R. Okay? Then yung ating inductor, so inductor natin, yung kanyang reactance, ang tawag sa kanya ay XL. Okay? And then kapag yung impedance niya ng ating inductor, siya ay pag yung J notation natin, JXL yung kanyang impedance. Kasi kung halimbawa ito yung ating axis, no? Okay? Dito sa axis natin ng complex plane, itong papunta dito is para dun sa ating resistor. Yung positive ng imaginary is para sa ating inductor. And then yung negative ng imaginary is para sa ating capacitor. Okay? Kaya makikita ninyo dito, positive yung value ng impedance nung sa inductor natin kasi nasa positive sense siya. Ngayon, pagdating kay capacitor, okay, XC yung kanyang reactant. So yung impedance niya is negative JXC. So negative kasi nasa negative axis siya nung ating complex, anong ating imaginary. Okay? So to get daw yung kanyang total impedance, okay, we need to change yung mga connection natin into series of complex numbers o yung impedance equations. Okay? So itong mga values na to, pwede siyang mag-combine. Okay? So when we combine yung ating resistor with an inductor, okay? Yung formula ng impedance natin will be R plus JXL. Okay? So pinag-combine lang natin to. Then we have pag resistor and then meron tayong capacitor that is equals to R minus JXC. Pero pwede din mangyari na magkakasama yung tatlo. And then, okay, so yung Z natin yan will be R plus JXL minus JXC. So, maalin na lang kung alin yung mas malaki doon sa dalawa. Kung alin yung mag-govern, that will be your sign. Okay? So, to calculate this particular circuit, we need to identify yung mga impedance natin. Okay? So, we can say, since ito nakaparallel to, no, we can use this connection as our first Z. No? So, pwedeng tawagin natin to as our first Z. Z1 natin. Na ang formula niya ay meron siyang resistor plus yung kanyang inductor. So, we have JXL. Okay? So, Z1 natin is equals to 5J10. Ibig sabihin. So, di ba ito, naka complex number na siya. Then, dito, sa next natin, pwede natin siya tawagin Z2 equals to R minus JXC. Okay? So, yung Z2 natin will be 4 minus J15. Okay? So, that is our second. Then, yung isa natin natitira is ito, which is only an inductor. Capacitor, sorry. So, dito, tawagin natin siyang Z3, pero ngayon siya ay negative JXC lang. Okay? So, formula niya is Z3 is equals to negative J10. Okay? So, as we can see here, para makuha natin yung total, ano yung i-apply nating ruling? Siyempre, sa series and parallel natin. So, anong condition natin? Yung, di ba, naka-in terms lahat siya ng ohms. So, ibig sabihin resistance yung pinag-uusapan natin. Ano? And anong condition kapag yung resistance natin, yung ating circuit is in parallel, para makuha natin yung equivalent resistance natin, ano yung magiging value niya? So, kunin natin yung sa Z1 and Z2 o yung Z parallel natin. Z parallel natin will be equals to yung product ng Z1 and Z2 over yung addition niya. Okay? So, kunin natin yung Z1. So, Z1 natin is 5 plus 10J. 5 plus 10J multiplied by J10 na lang, no? Para consistent tayo. J10 multiplied by 4 minus J15 all over addition nito. So, papindot nga po sa calcu kung ano yung magiging sagot nito. According to Mambal Miss, maalam na daw kayo mag-calcu na rin. Ilan po ito? So, kung
16.08.
16.08,
Eh,
dapat i-convert pala
5.05.
natin.
Ay,
Okay. Sige. Wait lang, no? Pwede pala i-convert natin sa rectangular, sa polar form muna yung atin, no? So, yung 5 plus 10J, yung J10 natin in polar form ay 5, 10. So, that is 11.18 angle 63.43. Okay? And then, dito, yung 4 minus 15J natin in polar form is 4 angle 15, negative 15. Sorry, wait lang. All 4 negative 15, that is 15.52 angle negative 75.07. And then yung sa ilalim, since addition siya, try natin i-add gamitin yung rectangular form na addition muna before natin i-convert into polar form. Okay? So gawin natin itong 5 plus 4 plus J10 minus 15. Okay? So yung numerator, pwede na natin ipag-multiply. So 11.18 times 15.52 angle 63.43 minus or plus negative 75.07. Then yung polar form nung ating nasa ilalim, that is 9 angle of negative 75.07. That is 75 angle of negative 83.16. Okay? Simplify lang natin yung numerator natin. That is 11.18 times 15.52. So 173.514 angle of 63.43 minus 75.07. Negative 11.64. And then divide natin itong angle natin na to. Yung answer natin for Z parallel should be so divide natin yung 173.514 divide 75, that is 2.314 angle of negative 11.64 minus 83.60. 71.52. Ganito ba yung lumalabas? O parang iba, no? So what should be the answer? Tama ba yung answer ko? Kung ipa-perform natin yung operation.
sir, pwede po ba sir na itong una tax i-pinolar form ko lamang.
Okay, tapos?
Lumabas ko sa akin 16.85 angle 17.42.
Alin ang pinolar form mo? Itong
Yung
ito?
kanina po na sagot ko, yan po, ginamit ko po yung formula ng dalawa.
Okay.
Kinalculator ko.
Diretso na sa calculate na
Diretso ko na.
nakaganto. Okay. I-change ko lang, no? Tingnan natin kapag diretsong complex sa calculate. Okay. So, 5 plus 10i times 4 minus 15j over 5 plus 10i plus 4 minus 15i. So So 16.085 tsaka 5.05. 5.047. Ay. So may something wrong sa aking sagot. Ay hindi. I-change ko to sa polar. Should be 16.1, 16.85. Okay. Double check natin, no? In polar form, ang sagot niya is 16.858 angle of 17.41. Okay? And in rectangular form, ang answer niya is 16.085 angle of plus 5.05i. Okay? So dapat mapakita kasi natin yan dito. Okay? Using yung form natin. So check ko lang to. So yung 5 plus 10j natin, pag change, ni, tapos i-change natin sa polar. So tama naman. So yung 4 minus 15i, change natin sa polar. That is correct naman. Okay. Pero dapat alam ko na ako sa nagkamali ito. $11.18 times 15.52. 173 divide. We have 9 minus 5i, convert sa complex. So, ayan. Ulitin ko lang to, no? Ayan. So, ito, i-ano natin, change natin to. So, 5 plus 10i, again, sa complex form is, so, 11.18 angle of 63.43. Okay? So, yan na din yung kanina, no? 4 minus 15i to polar form, that is 15.52 angle of negative 75.07. Okay? Then ito, i-diretso, i-add ko na. Tapos i-change ko na sa polar form. Plus 4 minus 15i. Then, magiging 9 minus 15i to. 9 minus 5i. Okay? I-change natin sa polar. That is 10.296 angle of negative 29.055. Okay? So, ito, kung ipa-perform natin yung polar multiplication, this is 11.18 times 15.52 angle 63.43. And then, I think we should change this sa positive sense niya, no? Kasi siya ay nasa third quadrant. Nasa fourth quadrant. So, ito yung angle na yon. So, dapat 360 minus ito. So, 284.93. So, 284.93. Plus lang dapat to, no? Plus. All over, open lang natin muna. Angle of. Yung sagot natin na yan is 9 minus 5i. So, 9 tapos minus. So, fourth quadrant din. So, yung angle natin should be positive sa 360 minus 29.055. That is 330.945. Okay? So, simplify natin yung taas. 11.18 times 15.52. That is 173.51. 514. 63.43 plus 284.93. That is 348.36 angle 330.945. Okay? So, dito, this will be divide natin yung 173.514 divide 10.296. That is equal to 16.85 to angle of 348.36 minus 330.945. That is 17.415. Okay? So, ayan. So, nag-same na siya dito. Okay? Para hindi tayo dependent lagi sa calculus. Ano? So, same na siya dito. May konting discrepancy lang siya sa decimal point. Okay? Ngayon, meron na tayo ng ating Z parallel. So, parang kinonvert na natin to into one resistor, yung Z equivalent natin. So, to get yung total, we just need to add itong Z parallel natin to our Z3. Okay? So, Z total natin equal to Z parallel plus Z3. That is 16.852 angle of 17.415 plus yung ano natin is naka J pa siya. So equivalent polar nito is negative 10I. So sa polar niya ay 10 negative 90. So that is nasa directed siya dito sa ano natin ano. So 270. 10 angle 270. 10 angle 270. So add lang natin. This is 26.852 angle. Hindi pwedeng i-add as naka-polar siya, no? So, kailangan i-rectangular natin ito. Yung 16.852, natin. Lagay ko lang sa second page. Yung Z total natin ay is equals to Z parallel path Z3 natin. So, yung Z parallel natin, convert muna natin into rectangular form. So, 16.852 tsaka 17.415. So, 16.852 angle 17.415. Ito yung R natin. Ito yung ating theta. So, para sa rectangular form, that is equal to 16.852. Then, pwede na lang cosine of 17.415 plus sine 17.415 I. Okay? So, that is 16.852 times cosine of 17.415. So, 16.08 plus sine 17.415. That is 5.04 I. Okay? So, 16.08 plus 5.04 I plus yung negative 10 I natin. Yung J10 natin. So, this will be 16.08. Okay? And then, this is minus. So, 10, negative 10 plus 5.04. That is angle minus 4.96 I. So, ito yung Z total natin. To change that, 16.08 minus 4.96 I to polar form. So, this is also equal to 16.83 angle of negative 17.14. Since si real, negative siya. So, siya ay nasa fourth quadrant. So, kailangan natin gawin sa 360. So, 16.83 angle 360 minus 17.14. Okay? Although, alam ko, kaya nyo siya i-calculate na diretso sa calcu. Pero using yung ating solution for for complex number. Kaya po pinapakita ito, no? So this will be our answer for total impedance natin. Okay. Next is our para daw sa total current natin yung kasunod na tanong. Okay. I total tayo. So para makuha yan, we will use V total over Z total. Okay. So nakalagay doon sa problem, ang V total natin is 200 and then calculated natin is Z, no? So kung walang nakalagay na kung 200 lang siya, and then pag kinonvert natin siya sa complex, equivalent complex niya is yung angle niya is assume nating 0, no? So ibig sabihin 200 angle 0 over yung 16.83 angle 342.86. Okay? So 200 over 16.83, that is 11.883 angle negative 342.86, or again minus natin sa 360, yung natin will be 11.883 angle 17.14. Okay, this was our total current for the circuit. Okay. Next, sa number 3 is yung I daw natin for each branches. So yung kung series siya dito, so same lang yung value ng I. Pero dito, ang equal sa kanya is yung voltage, no? So we need to get yung voltage nito. Okay? To get that, yung voltage ng parallel, voltage parallel is equals to current parallel natin, tapos yung current total natin, tsaka yung Z parallel natin. Okay, multiplication niya. So we have 11.883 angle 17.14 multiplied do sa Z parallel natin, which is 16.852 angle 17.415. Okay, perform natin to. So 11.883 multiplied by 16.852 angle 17.14 plus 17.415. Our voltage dun sa parallel system natin is 16.852 equals sa 200.252 angle of 34.555. Okay? So ito will be equals din sa yung V1 natin and V2 natin, and to get for the current, so that is V1 over Z1 natin. So this is 200.252 angle 34.555. Then yung value natin ng Z1 kanina, yung converted natin is ito, 11.18 tsaka 63.43. So 11, ano ulit yun? 11.18, 63.43. Okay? So yung current natin will be 200.252 divide 11.18. That is 17.91. Yung multiplication niya, 912 angle, minus natin 34.555 minus 63.43. That is negative 28.875. So kung negative siya, kailangan gawin natin siyang positive, 17.912. So ito ay sa 360. So 331.125. Okay? Ito yung angle, ito yung ating current 1, and then current 2 natin will be equals to V2 over Z2, or 200.252 angle 34.555 over yung value ng Z2 natin, which is ito, 15.52 15.52 angle, yung converted natin sa 360, which is 284.93. 284.93. Okay. I2 will be equals to 200.252 divided 15.52. So 12.903 angle of 34.555 minus 284.93. That is negative 250.375. O yung I2 natin will be equals to 12.903 angle of 360 minus 250.375. That is 109.625. Okay. So this will be our current for each branches. Okay. Okay. So ganyan po yan. So I know may iba kayong solution dyan, pero to use yung complex operations natin, yun na lang yung pinakita ko, no? Please verify na lang kung tama yung mga final answer, no? As long as you know how to read yung parallel and series natin and to change yung values na negative natin into its equivalent positive angle, makukuha natin yung answer using complex number and also using yung calculator ninyo. Okay? Question dito sa sample natin, sa application natin for complex. Okay, kung no more question, this ends our lecture for today, and this will be the coverage of your examination. Okay, so all of our discussion regarding complex number, that will be the coverage. So application, uh, I will look into it kung lalagyan ko, no? Nung mga simple circuit lang naman, syempre. Kung halimbawa magka-meron. Okay? If ever wala, edi more on problem solving tayo nung mga na-calculate natin yung operations and distance and midpoint tayo. Okay? Alright? So,